Welcome today to the Color Lights World project. My name is color-buresch. I'm Austrian and I'm a color light therapist and color consultant, a holistic color consultant. Today, a big pleasure to present to you one of the pioneers in the color light work, Christa Muths. Welcome, Christa.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yes, so Christa is a woman of the world. Originally from Germany, she has been traveling the world on her path with color and light. Christa is trained as a chef, a social scientist, and a lecturer. She saw in her dreams the importance of light and color, treating her genetic spine problems, and began to search for scientific explanations. She set up an international institute called Espacio for holistic studies to teach vibrational and energy medicine, including color and light therapy. She is a publisher of 18 books on the field of vibrational medicine and color therapy. And she has published numerous articles worldwide on the subject of energy medicine and healing through color therapy. She has been fascinated by color since her childhood days. She has been also publishing a quarterly magazine for 2 years. And now she is still writing books and uploading current research and articles on her social media pages. So now we start. Dear Christa, can you please tell us something about your background? How did you came into the field of color and light?
Yes, my father was very much interested in cosmology. And I grew up in the 50s after the war in Germany and in a rural kind of poor area in a village, with 500 people. And my father was very interested in cosmology and explained the stars to me when I was a child, but he was also very interested in nature. And so we went out every Sunday morning on walks and he explained nature and the cosmos to me. And so I was always very interested. And as a child, I spoke to the stars. I went up at night in the loft and opened the window, and the stars were my sisters and brothers. And so I always thought they answered me when I was a child. But I kept this habit far into adulthood. And with 18, I had a near-death experience because of an accident. And my energies were leaving the body and were going away from my body. And then a white cloud came across and said, no, it's not your time to go now. You have things to accomplish. So I turned around and came back to my body. And with 32, I was diagnosed with the severe spine problems you talked about. Nobody before knew what it was, what the problems were. And it was predicted that I would be in a wheelchair at the age of 45. So I was in a clinic, a special clinic, and I had a dream. And the dream told me to leave the clinic and go home and work with light, with white light. And that's what I did. And I always do, when I have important dreams, I always do what my dreams tell me, because that's the way I live. There's nothing else I can do. It's just inherited, so to speak. No? And so I started working with light, not telling anybody in Germany in those days, in the 70s, because it would have put me in the next mental hospital. And I was a lecturer at the Polytechnic in Darmstadt. So I didn't tell anybody. So I worked with light, and then I started experimenting with the colors, visualizing in my body. When I had a headache or whatever I had, I tried that out. And then some years later, when I was living in England, a friend of mine from Munich, an editor from a very big German publishing company, came to me and said, look, you can come and you can write reports on English-speaking books, whether they're worthwhile to be translated into German. And when I was flying out to Munich, I had a dream on the plane, and that gave me text ideas and text for a color therapy book. And I couldn't understand what that meant, because I had no intention of becoming. I was a lecturer in social sciences, And so we went to the publisher and I got my contract, we out. And then on the way out to the door, she said, "Oh, Mrs. Muths, do you actually know somebody who could write a book on color therapy?" And I turned around, my knees were trembling. I was fearful. I said, "Yes, I can do that." And showed him what I had written down, what my dream had told me. And he looked at it, he said, "Brilliant. Here's your contract, 4,000 marks, which is 2,000 euros now." And that's how I came across to write my first book. Now, then, of course, I had to, because of my scientific background also, I had to search, how can I verify my experience? What are the truths about it? What can I do? So then I came across Fritz Albert Popp, and here we are with the biophotons. In Albert Einstein, well, light is part of the electromagnetic spectrum, which we all know, yeah? And light can be measured in two ways. One in the way it moves forward, nanometer, and in quanta, in the most smallest elements, and they are called photons. And this was verified by Albert Einstein and Max Planck. And in 1941, a Russian scientist, he discovered that all living tissue is emitting light. And so that was revolutionary in 41, yeah. But because of the war and the situation in the world, political situation in the world, nothing really happened. So when I was intended to write my book, I came across Fritz Albert Popp, a German experimental physicist and biologist. And he could verify the findings of the Russian scientist. And so he called the light emitted by the tissue, by living tissue, biophotons, so biological photons, yeah. And he worked out that the whole metabolism is controlled by light, and that the mitochondria in our cells are fed by light, so to speak. Like we have breakfast and lunch, and so they're fed by light. No? So Fritz Albert Popp called mankind a living light, yeah. And so the whole communication, inner cell communication, is controlled by light, by the biophotons, and the communication between the cells also. And of course, the communication between the humans, the animals, and everything which is living, and the outer world is also controlled by light. So that is how I got to base my color therapy and what I have been doing with people on this theory, which is not a theory anymore. In the 70s, he was laughed about. You know, Popp died a couple of years ago, and he had a drinking problem in the end because he wasn't taken seriously. But today, 50 years later, light therapy is used in all kinds of medicine. It's used for Alzheimer's, for dementia, for Parkinson, jaundice, cancer, skin cancers, and all sorts. But it's a really important medical part now of, yeah.
It must be really very positive for you that you could observe that color light therapy and chromotherapy has been growing, and that the recognition of this method is now about to happen, and it's not as crazy anymore as 40 or 50 years ago.
Thanks God. And really, to be honest, it has nothing to do with me. It has to do with my dreams. It is just what my dreams told me where to do, where to go, you know, and I just followed my dreams. And I'm sure that many people have it too, but don't work according to it.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I think if people would spend more attention to their dreams, because their guidance, the dreams are in an inner guidance, no?
Yeah. Well, same thing with me. I've been more than 35 years ago so convinced about the potential of color and light, and my intuition and my inner guidance just told me, go for this path. And
yes.
I'm really amazed how much you can achieve, and how diverse the effects are of color and light. And you have been mentioning one very important personality, Fritz Albert Popp, and his findings were very important for developing the research on chromotherapy. So please, Christa, tell us something about your institute, your International Institute of Holistic Studies you were running from 1985 to 2012, called Espacio.
Yes, Espacio because of space. Yeah. Because what is happening in my work when I work with colors, with people, and in my groups, I always try to open consciousness. Because if you, from a different point of consciousness, approach a problem, you approach it from a much more wider point of view. Yeah. So that's why I call it space. So Espacio was basically an institute to open space for people. And so I set up the color therapy courses and healing courses because I'm a trained healer by the British Spiritual Association, and I was teaching there also. And I also am a trained shaman because my late husband was Mexican. And so I was trained in Peru, in Venezuela, Ecuador, and Mexico, of course, yeah, which is, again, working with energy. The shamans also work with energy, you know, the spirits is an energy understanding of the world, yeah. And so I did that, and then I did group leader training because I was a lecturer at the Polytechnic, and developing curricula and group leading was one of my specialities. So that's what I did, and it worked very well. It worked internationally. It was accredited by the British Complementary Medical Association. So I had to hand in all the diploma. I was allowed to give out diplomas. So the diplomas were checked and the quality of the work was checked. No? But in 2012, I just got tired of the traveling and I wanted to do things I wanted to do for myself, and then I stopped.
Mm-hmm. And you were working with individuals and also with groups. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, about the individual, yes, and the groups. Well, when people came to me, they didn't necessarily come because they wanted treatment. They came because they wanted healing and an understanding of what was happening in their world. So that's a different motivation, yeah. And so they didn't want a quick fix, but they wanted to work out what was their problem and what was their attitude which caused this and this physical problem. And when they came, and I did the same in the groups, I looked at them at the colors they liked and they didn't like. And then I had worked out that, for instance, red is not the same for everybody. There are people who love red, yeah, because it gives energy and it helps to move forward. But there are also people who hate red because it's associated with blood and fire, no? And so, for instance, so each colors in the eyes of the people, each colors has a positive or negative side. So people either see a color as positive or as negative. So I always work with them. Why do you see this as positive and why do you see this as negative? And for instance, if somebody hates a color, you can with almost certainty say that there's a trauma behind it. If anybody hates a color, there is with 99% certainty there's a trauma behind it. You know? So I saw my task as helping them to understand the unconscious belief they have about color and life. Yeah. And I give you one example. I had a teacher, she came with Hashimoto, and the doctors told her they couldn't give her any more medicine or anything because they didn't have a clue how to treat her anymore. So she came to me, which I didn't know, of course. And we worked on her color understanding. And then I said, well, you can try to treat your thyroid with either green or gold. And so she went and looked at me. I should decide. She said, I said, yes. I said, it's not you, it's your thyroid. It should decide. And so she went home. And when I was next in Frankfurt, when I next was in Frankfurt, she came back and she said, you wouldn't believe it. The medication could be cut off half. And I said, what did you do? And she said, you know, the turning point was that you believed I can do it. That was a turning point in her understanding. And then she looked at her whole life in a totally different way. And where her belief was what she couldn't do, this she couldn't do, this she couldn't do, this she couldn't do. But I didn't know that. I just said it intuitively. And I said, you try this and you try this. And she said, it's your belief in me that I have the capacity to decide what is right for me. And that was a basic point of my work. Yeah. One more thing. I decided between to have color have color for me is when you use the color because somebody told you that's the right color for you, that you have to try this, you have to try this, and you follow instructions. To be color is when your body tells you which is the right color. When you try to work out with your inner workings, your inner understanding, which color does my thyroid need, or does my heart need, or or do my lungs need, then it's to be color. But this is a shift in the way of thinking. It's a shift from I am taking what is offered to me, or I am finding out myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And another thing I did, which always caused a lot of discussions, was how do people think? The majority of people think in black and white and in words. Yeah. But there are other people who think in images and in colors, also dreaming colors, no? And there are people like me, I think in color clouds. I don't think in words. So it's kind of color cloud. And from the color cloud, I get it down to an image, and then I get it down to words. No? And we did exercises. I do this with individual people, but also with group. It's absolutely fascinating what people come up with, what people discover about themselves. And it opens up a room, it opens up espacio, and it changes their consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is something that I also experience in my work, that working with colors and color and light is always very strongly related to consciousness.
Yes.
And what you're saying is when people are getting conscious about how is this color speaking to them, and what is their feeling towards this color, and they discover their inner world through the color, that is the beginning of healing.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Yes. And do you have one question that comes to my mind? Is there one special color that you experience in your practice as very effective or special or very important?
I think the most difficult color is red. I think that's from that point of view. And of course, black.
Yeah.
Yeah. Black is for some people protection, and they can hide behind it. And for other people, it's a black wall that can't get through, and it blocks them. And so that's one of the difficult colors. The healing colors are blue and green.
Yeah.
Because people have less resistance. Again, my favorite color is yellow. I live in a yellow house, a yellow kitchen, yellow walls. Yeah, but for a lot of people, that is too much. That I've got one worker who doesn't want to work here because of my yellow house. It's horrible. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she's from Africa actually, and so the colors which are mostly accepted by most people is green and blue. Yeah. The other colors they can cause frictions and problems. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you have written, Christa, 18 books. And I know you have prepared them on your desk, but we can't show all of them. But maybe you want to talk about 2 or 3 books of yours?
Yes, this one is in English actually, but also in German, News from the Rainbow World. Yeah. Can you see this?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, this is in English and in German. You can get it via Amazon and everywhere else. And it's fables. It's fables all to do with the rainbow, the changing power of the rainbow. Yeah. And there's 7 or 8 or 9 fables. And I have done, I'm a storyteller also. So I have used these fables in schools and told a story, and with an enormous positive effect. So it's worthwhile. As I say, this is in English and in German. This one is in English and in German also, Healing with the Coherence of Light. Yeah, but the English version needs to be reprinted.
Closer to the camera. Can you hold it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Healing with the Coherence of Light. Yes.
Yeah, and this is in English and in German. And where is this one? Here, dimensions of the color that is unfortunately only in German. Mm-hmm. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this is only in German. This is very interesting. But one of my favorite books is this one here.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately only in German, but this is
Can you hold it up so that we can see the title? Hold it up. Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Geopoesie, yes.
Yes, this is geometry. So I have used it like like the point, the full stop, the comma, the circle, the square, and the rectangle as living beings, and they talk about their life, their position in grammar, and it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious, but it's only for people who have a little bit of a weird humor than I have. So it's yeah, okay.
So, and yeah, you will find all the books of Christa Muths on Amazon. Yeah,
yes,
18 books.
Yes.
And most of them are also in English, but many are also in German, right?
Yes.
Yes. And can you tell us, you have such a wonderful painting in your background, where that comes from?
Yeah, I did it.
Oh, and you did it?
Yes, I did it. And it's a Mexican, you know, and my late husband was Mexican. And so, yes, and but he was a professional artist. He was a professor of fine arts, yeah. But I did this, I painted it.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So you're also a painter?
Kind of, you know, I mean, nothing compared to my late husband, but yes. But I paint abstract, you know. Yeah. This is one of the few paintings that are not abstract, because I love the scenery so much, yeah. That's how Mexico really is now. I've been there so many times. And my favorite subject is nature, but also cosmos. I keep on trying to paint nebulas and things like this. It's very difficult to paint. Yeah, so.
Yeah. So, Christa, that's also something we have in common. I have also lived in Mexico when I was a child, and I think Mexico has marked me very much regarding colors, because it's such a splendid, colorful country.
Yes. It's such a rich country. It's one of the richest countries. I mean, I'm worldwide travel, but Mexico is one of the richest countries in every way. 62 languages that they have, and then the music and the cultural and the food and the clothes, and it's a wonderful country with its problems, of course. No.
Yeah. So you can meet Christa, because Christa is active posting research and her insights on her work with color and light on her social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So you can check out her accounts there. And of course, her books on Amazon. And thanks a lot, Christa. I'm very happy about this talk today, and hopefully we will do that again. And and thanks a lot for contributing to the fact that color and light is becoming more recognized and known as a healing modality. Thanks a lot for your contribution as a pioneer.
Yes, and thank you very much, because I really think your project is a great idea. It's a brilliant idea. And I hope it just blossoms, you know, and it becomes more and more and more and more. Yes, thank you very much also. Okay.
Yeah, thanks a lot for supporting that. And dear viewers, see you again at the Color Lights World Project at our new program now in the fall 2022. And you can check out the program in 2 weeks by mid-August on the website color-buresch.at. Thanks a lot, Christa. And
thanks a lot, Gabi. Okay.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.